Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unlocking Tampa Bay. I am your host, Brian Burns, and joined, as always, by my co-host, Molly Barbieri.
Not always, but yeah. Hi.
That's right. We didn't have you for the
Yeah,
last
I
one because
wasn't.
we had two guests, but
Yeah,
so we
but it
had
was
to.
great to hear them. So, I mean, it was great. But I'm glad to be back.
Well,
So,
welcome back. And we have maybe the busiest man in the Tampa Bay area this week specifically. Here's our next guest. He is Bill Walsh. He's the Chief Business Officer of the Tampa Bay Rays, and he's the man that has overseen the transformation of George Steinbrenner Field from a Yankees Spring Training complex to the Tampa Bay Rays home for the 2025 Major League Baseball regular season. Bill, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you both. Yeah, glad to be here.
I'm surprised you were able to squeeze out 20 minutes of your day to come in here and talk to us because, like we said, this is a very busy week for you guys. The Yankees had their last spring training game yesterday. To pull back the curtain a little bit, we're recording this on the Monday before the Rays season opener on Friday against the Colorado Rockies. So the Yankees played their last spring training game at Steinbrenner Field on Sunday, ironically enough, against the Tampa Bay Rays.
That's right, yeah.
And you've got 4 full days, maybe a little bit of time between like Sunday night and Friday morning when you have to tidy up all the loose ends to get everything ready for, what is it, a 4:10 first pitch
That's
on
right.
Friday at
Yep.
Steinbrenner for the Tampa Bay Rays. So how do you do that? How do you make this transformation happen?
Well, I don't do it alone. In fact, comparatively, I'm doing very little compared to the dozens and dozens and dozens of people, hundreds really, that are over at Steinbrenner Field right now. Many of them were there starting minutes after the game ended.
Yeah.
Last evening, late last afternoon, and work continued through the night as it will for the next several days. So we're really 24/7 for the next several days until Friday. And it's a small army of volunteers from our front office. We've got, over 100 staff that's there, working to make this happen. We have tremendous partners in the community, whether that's signage vendors, corporate partners. We have over 5 different signage companies with, I think 50 or 60 of their own staff that will be there, throughout the day and night over the next few days. So a lot of people involved in this effort, a lot of coordination as well to manage.
a lot of manpower.
Yeah.
All hands on deck situation.
Yeah.
This is the definition of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously this week is a big week getting everything turned around, but I'm sure there was a lot of planning that went into this before this so that when you get to this week, you're ready to spring into action.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because, we had the Yankees spring training, obviously, right until yesterday, and they occupied the full footprint of that building, as you might expect, for their spring camp and spring training games. So this was a little bit of a bifurcated workload in that we had a lot of work to do on the front end and a lot of time and access to the building to be able to get in and catalog and coordinate and plan. And then we kind of had to hit pause
Yeah.
and then continue some of that behind the scenes work, but really had limited access to the facility. So it's
Right.
kind of like do everything we can ahead of time, plan, and then, you hit the go button starting last night, really.
And, how good have the Yankees been in allowing you guys to come in and make this transformation and take what is, their team space and make it the Rays, which, you guys are rivals. When you look at the AL East every year, the Yankees and Rays are battling out for the top spot.
Yeah, we may be rivals on the field. We certainly are. But I think we've really shown how we can work together and collaborate off the field, really as partners and really as stewards of the game.
Yeah.
We were knocked down as an organization in the fall, no doubt, with these storms. So many in the community were, but we were among them. And so the way the Yankees organization really reached out proactively, extended a helping hand to us, we're very grateful for that. Obviously could not have done this without them. It's a tremendous amount of work for their organization and their team here locally as well.
Yeah.
And that's not lost on us. Their job description has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Their summer is a lot busier.
Yeah.
And so again, we're very grateful for that. They've really been, magnanimous with how they've opened up their facility to us and given us a lot of flexibility to turn this into, a real home field advantage for us this season.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
And you talk about the home field and, Steinbrenner Field is, from what I've read and seen, it's kind of a mini replica of Yankee Stadium. And you have the signage up at the top of the stands. It says Yankees. Obviously, there's a lot of Yankees branding all over the entire complex.
Yeah.
So just like starting with the signage up at the top, underneath that kind of famous facade that you see on that stadium that says Yankees. How do you get rid of that? Do you cover that up, or how are you going to make that so it feels like you're playing in a Tampa Bay Rays home stadium?
Yeah, so we have over 3,000 unique pieces of art that will be installed over the
Wow.
next 4 days, and many of them went in last night, and that will, again, continue. So it's a tremendous just project management logistics
Yeah.
task to manage and keep track of all that, because not only do we have to put it up, but we have to put it back the way it was, right? That's obviously our commitment to the Yankees. It's their field, it's their home. We're going to leave it as we found it, hopefully better. So, you'll see big to small branding elements going in, all the way from those letters you mentioned down the baselines that face inside and out, to swap outs on the concourse, to even small section markers that we replaced that are in like our font of our brand, for example,
Gotcha.
rather than like the font that the Yankees utilize. So we're really doing everything we can, even the small touches, to try to make this feel like a real Rays experience and extend our brand into the building. So yeah, lot of work, a lot of details going into it, for sure.
Like the artwork that you talk about, is that all stuff from Tropicana Field? Is it stuff that's new that you've built purposely, or that you've bought purposely for Steinbrenner?
Most of it's new,
Yeah.
just because sizes are different, materials are different. Remember, we're outside now compared to being inside, so that
Yeah,
impacts a lot of our
that'll be-
materials choices. So obviously, to the extent we could bring infrastructure over from Tropicana Field, I think you see that, for example, like on the concessions front, we have equipment that we were able to bring in and help Legends, who's our concessionaire at Steinbrenner Field. They've not run 81 regular season baseball games at basically capacity before. So this is a real test, of the stadium's infrastructure and of all of the vendors that work there. So we've obviously been doing everything we can to bring any assistance we can from the Trop, but in most cases, it's unique and we're starting from scratch.
Yeah. Are you able to bring any of those kind of touches at Tropicana Field over to Steinbrenner? Like, I'm sure probably the touch tank is out of the question.
Unfortunately, yes.
unmovable, but
Yeah.
yes.
But I'm even thinking about like, the Tropicana Field side. I know it's an advertisement, but you see that orange, up in the corner, and that's kind of iconic. You associate the Tampa Bay Rays with that.
It is. I mean, a lot of this is wrapped up in kind of sponsorship conversations and how those commitments transfer over to Steinbrenner. Many of them do, but as we've been kind of talking about, and it's funny you mentioned, the orange. We've been talking about this as being really, this is not apples to apples. This is apples to oranges.
Yes.
And we need to embrace the orange. There's a lot of opportunity there, right?
Yeah.
But this is different. This is a different building. It's a different size. It's a different scale. There's different assets that are available. But there are some new things and some exciting things to do here too. For example, we're outside. We can have fireworks after home runs and during the national anthem, and we can bring all kinds of different new elements to the fan experience that we've just not been able to do before at Tropicana Field. So again, we try to really focus on the positives. We try to embrace the change. We think this is going to be a really, really exciting year to come out and watch the magic of Rays baseball in a really special setting. I mean, how often do you get a chance to see Major League Baseball games right here in Tampa outside with only 10,000 people? I mean, it's going to be one of the most intimate, I think, special experiences in Major League Baseball this year.
Yeah, I know we're certainly, as Visit Tampa Bay, we're certainly excited to have you guys on this side of the bay and see how things run and get that experience of having outdoor baseball and kind of that intimate experience that you talk about that you get in maybe a spring training game, and now you can get that throughout the regular season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is a lot. The intimacy of spring training, we're leaning into a lot, and at the same time, really being conscious of bringing, big league elements to the fan experience. This is a Major League Baseball game. It's not a spring training game, and so trying really hard to create that distinction and that differentiation and kind of deliver on that Major League experience for fans.
Has there been any, I don't want to say issues, but has there been any noticeable changes from going to a minor league facility or a major league facility to a minor league facility? I mean, I know you're not losing too many seats. I know that that's not too much of an issue, but, the facilities are different. Like Steinbrenner is known for that spring training. So has there been any?
They are. I mean, while Steinbrenner is really a spectacular spring training venue, particularly with many of the improvements that have been made just this offseason even. I mean, the improvements to the player clubhouse and training facilities are remarkable. They're some of the best even for the major league level, to be honest. So our players are very fortunate to have that, and we're fortunate to be able to have that resource as an organization. But it is lower in capacity. I mean, there's only 10,000 seats there. They're coming from 25,000 at Tropicana Field.
Okay, wow.
That's 7,000 less than our average attendance over in St. Pete. So the capacity's definitely been a constraint to work with. It kind of limits some of the financial upside in the building. But from a facility standpoint, there are other differences as well. I mean, we needed to bring in an umpire's compound. We had a ton of work to do in terms of fitting out the building for major league broadcasting purposes, a new cable to run, a lot of new IT infrastructure, new data centers. There's all kinds of kind of back of the house infrastructure that fans don't even really think about, but it's what is required from Major League Baseball in order to play regular season games. So a lot of retrofitting, outfitting, kind of small additions in the last few months.
You mentioned the clubhouse that was redone by the Yankees this past offseason.
Yeah.
As well as new weight room, new kind of kitchen area. That's got to be exciting for you guys to be able to use that. The Yankees kind of made this great expansion just for you.
Yeah, I think they play about 15 games there in the spring, and there was some tongue-in-cheek conversation with the Yankees of, hey, you're getting about 5 spring trainings worth of games. Please take care of this beautiful new facility they have. No, but all kidding aside, we are very fortunate. It's a beautiful place, and it has a lot of creature comforts for players. So I think they're going to have a good time there.
I think I read somewhere that clubhouse is kind of a replica of the clubhouse that they have at Yankee Stadium, at least size-wise. Like it's a very up-to-date major league worthy clubhouse.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, just from a facility standpoint, it's also very unusual because it has a ton of natural light. It's built out from the side of the venue rather than kind of being down many times below ground. So a lot of times clubhouses are this kind of bunker type feeling. But the weather is beautiful here, obviously, and so to be able to have the players have their training facilities be right with these enormous windows and a ton of natural light. I mean, I think it's just going to really help the whole clubhouse atmosphere.
Yeah. So the clubhouse actually has windows. I was there back in 2008, and I remember it did have that bunker mentality. Like there was no light coming in. You were very much kind of holed in there. So you are kind of out in the elements a little bit.
Yeah. To their credit, the Yankees' credit, they really tried to embrace that. And pull in a lot of the natural advantages of this area, which clearly is the sunshine and the weather. So
you alluded to it a little bit. You talked about fireworks and some of the different things that you'll be able to do this year that you weren't able to do inside Tropicana Field. Are there any other like tidbits or things you can tell us about maybe some things that you're thinking you'll be able to do this year that would be different from a normal year at Tropicana?
Yeah, I mean, a few of them, even like on opening day, we have a flyover scheduled, for example. So things like that. I mean, we're really trying to just lean into those different opportunities. We have some challenges, right? It's going to rain during some of our games. We're well aware of that, right? So we're actively thinking about, what does a Tampa Bay Rays rain delay look like?
Yeah.
We've been around for 25 plus years. We've never really had to think about that question. So some new opportunities to kind of stretch our muscles and figure out ways to extend our brand. And as you guys know, we're really all about breaking the mold, and we're not afraid to kind of disrupt the common purpose. So we lean into that. We do that on the field. We do that off the field as well. And so we're always looking for ways to do things differently and kind of be non-traditional in a game built on tradition, really.
Do you have to hire a tarp crew? Because you wouldn't have that before at Tropicana. So is there a new...
It's our grounds crew. They have some additional responsibilities this year. Including the tarp.
I worked for a minor league baseball team. My first job out of college. It was the all hands on deck when it rained. Everybody goes down and pulling the tarp.
Did you have to do the tarp?
Oh yeah, many times.
Yeah, exactly. Do you ever get trapped underneath?
I didn't get trapped. No, thankfully. Well, yeah, that's a big job, and especially the wind's blowing, a storm's coming, and that thing wants to go all over the place.
Yeah, it is. Our grounds crew is remarkable. They have so many different types of facilities to take care of. It's not just Tropicana Field. I mean, they manage all of the grounds around the 86 acres of Tropicana Field, plus our spring training facility down in Port Charlotte. So they're very familiar with working in the outdoor elements. This is a new challenge for the regular season, but they're a really seasoned, professional crew.
How about the transition with your season ticket holders that you had at Tropicana Field and then getting them over to Steinbrenner? Do you try to place them somewhere where they're like in a similar sight line or section where they would have been before? Just how has that transition been?
Yeah, that was interesting and probably one of the most time-consuming aspects of all of this. Our season members are obviously kind of the lifeblood of our organization, so it was really important. While there is, a huge opportunity here to do things differently, and have some great learnings, we also kind of had to take a do no harm approach with our base. So we worked really hard to try to map, these folks over and offer them seats in the most comparable location, and worked with really everybody on an individual basis to find the right price point and the right seating location for them. If that first salvo didn't quite work out. But I mean, we literally sat in a conference room with about 10 or 12 of us. We went through every single one of our accounts one by one, and manually actually had discussions about, hey, where's the most comparable seat for and some were easy, right? But it is a different building. So some of them weren't. But we just did the best we could and really tried to work with everybody for whatever their needs might be.
Yeah, and feedback's been good from what you've heard from those season ticket members. They've been pretty happy with how the transition has gone.
Yeah, I mean, we were able to renew over half of our base, just in a few months. I mean, that was really the biggest challenge here was the time constraint. These are typically things that we would do over months or even years, right? And so just having a few weeks or months to do them was the real constraint. But we saw a lot of new interest from the Tampa community as well, which was really nice to see. I mean, 45% of our season member base is new this year. So that's really exciting too, to have that feedback and that kind of response from the Tampa community.
Yeah, and hopefully you get those people hooked, and then they'll next year when you guys are back in Tropicana Field, you get them to come over and experience a Rays game.
I certainly hope so. Yeah.
And then you get to do this all over again. You get to pull up your roots from Steinbrenner, and you get to get everything ready in Tropicana for next year.
Yes.
And you kind of talked about it before, but once this is over, the season's over, hopefully after a nice long postseason run for you guys, like you are responsible for getting Steinbrenner Field back looking like a Yankees, spring training minor league facility again.
Yeah. It's that's the part that a lot of folks forget about. We can't just walk away. We've got a commitment to the Yankees to return the keys to them and return their building to them really as we found it. So we're committed to doing that. And again, the Yankees have been just tremendous partners in this. So we'll be sure to take care of them.
And then the team store, that's another big aspect. A lot of people want to come and buy Rays gear for the big game. And when you come into Steinbrenner, there's a big Yankees logo on the side of the team store. And I mean, will that be covered up? Will you have?
Yeah, that might be down now. I'm not quite sure. I haven't been over there yet today. Okay. But it will be replaced with some Rays branding.
And you got to get all that merchandise out and then your stuff in there.
Yeah, they started boxing it up last night. I think they're out of the right field store, and today they're working on the main team store. But we'll have all of that merchandised by Wednesday of this week, and the team store there will be open not just on game days, but on non-game days as well. So if anyone wants to come on out on a non-game day and grab some Rays gear, there's an opportunity to do that right here in Tampa this year.
And then food vendor-wise, are a lot of the same selections that you would see at Tropicana Field, some different things now that you're at Steinbrenner?
Yeah, some. We've tried to work with legends. They've got a tremendous amount of knowledge about the building, obviously, just having operated there for a while. So, but at the same time, trying to lean into some of those food elements and kind of sponsors and brands that folks have come to really love at the Trop. So, Coppertail Brewing will be with us. Colony Grill is actually a new partner for us this year from a pizza standpoint. Yeah. So, trying to bring back some old favorites, but also create some new partnerships as well, just to help tell that story of kind of the local food and beverage program. That's something we really pride ourselves on. Mm-hmm. We've been able to do that really effectively and in a fun way at Tropicana Field, and we're going to continue to try to do that at Steinbrenner.
And being on this side of the Bay, are you able to have like any partnerships with Tampa Bay, Tampa area businesses, breweries, restaurants, things like that they could kind of lean into being there at Steinbrenner as well?
Yeah, I mean, so again, just as we had to renew and kind of bring over all of our existing season members from a ticketing standpoint, the same work had to be done from a partnership standpoint.
Right.
Yeah.
So, truthfully, that kind of brought us down to the wire here just to make sure that we took care of the existing portfolio of partners that we have. And they've been tremendous too. I mean, the way that our partners have kind of understood, hey, this may not be apples to apples. We may be talking about oranges this year. They've really embraced that. They've stood by us in a way that has been really, really humbling and really, really gratifying. And it's allowed us, the flexibility to do what we need to do this year. So that said, we're chasing new business as well and actively looking to bring on, additional partners. And I think once we get really going here, and we have our first pitch on Friday, I think folks are gonna really take note and realize what they've got, right here in their backyard for the first time. And so we're hopeful that a lot of doors will continue to open to us, both on the ticketing front and also from a new business on a partnership standpoint.
Yeah. So you guys see this is an opportunity for you guys. This isn't a setback where we're out of our home for 1 year. This is an opportunity to kind of get some of Tampa, maybe bring it back to Tropicana Field and kind of big melting pot, I guess you could say, for this area.
No doubt. I mean, we're a regional brand, we're a regional team. In order for this to work for us, short term or long term, we absolutely need support from top to bottom, left to right, throughout this entire region. And the Tampa community and the business community here, is a huge opportunity to kind of strengthen some of those relationships and build some new inroads and hopefully spread the magic of Rays baseball here in Tampa this year.
Thanks for joining us on the podcast. It's been really great to hear about some of these exciting things that are going to be happening for the Tampa Bay Rays this season and all of the excitement at Steinbrenner Field.
That's great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Unlocking Tampa Bay. Join us for the next episode as we unlock the treasures of Tampa Bay.